Hello, everyone. Happy Independence Day. As I sat here in the lap of nature, I was thinking, what are the steps we can take to inch towards a world free from child sexual abuse? I got reminded of a quote I read recently by Brené Brown, where she says, who we are and how we engage with the world are much stronger predictors of how our children will do than what we know about parenting. So we need to focus on how we are being as role models, how we are reacting to information on sex and sexuality. Are we able to have these conversations rather than think about these parenting theories, on how our child can learn about this? One of the first ways that I thought of was freedom from ignorance. We are very familiar with the three wise monkeys: hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, right? So here I want you to think about this in the context of child sexual abuse. When we talk about hear no evil, today if a child comes to us as a safe adult, confides in us about something that has tormented them, that has violated them, we need to believe them. We need to listen. We can't probe, and we need to be sensitive in how we respond to this person. We need to make them believe that it is not their fault. So we need to hear this. We can't at that point say, hey, shh, don't tell anybody that this happened. You will not believe me sometimes when I say this, but so many victims have received this response from their chachi, their mummy, their dads, their uncles saying, hey, don't discuss this, right? Speak no evil. When we talk about that, we need to spread the message. We need to talk about this. We need to break the silence, break the stigma. We don't need to add to it by hushing it any further, right? When we talk about see no evil, if we see a boundary violation, if we see a child is sitting in the lap of some family member and they're clearly uncomfortable and that is not being respected, then we can request them to, find another way of showing care. These are simple ways. Any boundary violation, we need to intervene. Let's be active bystanders. That reminds me of a quote by Joan. She says, if 1 out of 4 is sexually abused, then the other 3 of us need to learn how to break the silence around sexual violence. Very important. We often think it's not our problem, it's that person who's the victim. But it's the attitude of the other 3 that also make the victim go through what they go through. The context has to be more suitable, has to be more sensitive and supportive for a victim of child sexual abuse. So I don't want to hear anybody saying, I don't know enough about this. It's not something I need to be worried about. We are way past this, It happens right under our noses, and I guarantee that you are connected to a victim of child sexual abuse through the various roles you play. It can be a neighbor, a friend, a parent, grandparent, uncle, a coach, a teacher, an employer. You're guaranteed to know somebody. So please reach out, be sensitive. Second thing I want to tell you here is freedom from stigma. There's a deeply ingrained culture of silence, shame, and stigma that still surrounds child sexual abuse. And we get a sense of this taboo very early on when we're growing up. I remember I've seen parents say, oh, shame, shame, you can't walk around like this. Shame is the word that is used when we are showing our genitals or when we're showing parts of our body that are meant to be covered by clothes or underwear. Another thing that very often most homes have this is using pet names, fun made up names for genitals and other parts of the body. So people don't say breast, people don't say vagina, penis, bum. They use these other names. And so subconscious, you're telling the child, hey, there's something about these parts of your body, because no, I don't call your face or your hand by another made up name. Then why am I calling your penis or vagina by another name, right? So we are giving these subliminal messages that there is something special, there is something different about these parts of the body, and therefore don't discuss them, make sure you cover them, etc. So as the child grows up, they also get these messages when we are quick to flip channels when there's a Durex ad or a sanitary pad ad, or there are some scenes that are awkward, and then all of a sudden there's an awkward conversation or an awkward silence, and people end up leaving the room. These are messages children are receiving every day. And so we need to think about what kind of role models are we being. Are we comfortable with sex and sexuality? And then how are we expecting our children to grow up as confident beings, willing to take responsible choices? So what I'm asking you to do is talk to your child about healthy sexuality. Help them feel comfortable in their own skin, accepted for who they are. Talk to your children about personal safety. Encourage them to be assertive and develop personal boundaries and respect others' boundaries. Third is freedom from victim shaming. Here are a few headlines that you must have read in the paper. Arrested for sexual abuse of niece, woman and her partner test positive for COVID. So now with this new pandemic on the block, coronavirus, it's become the absolute focus. And this other silent epidemic that we have been dealing with for years together, when there's a headline on it, again, it's coronavirus that is in the spotlight. So this uncle and aunt, molested and abused this girl who stayed with them, their niece, who stayed with them in the lockdown. But the focus is they tested positive for corona, something that we need to think about. Other headlines that are often seen are 11-year-old rape victim gives birth to child, 18-month-old child raped by her uncle in Uttar Pradesh, 4-year-old raped, left bleeding on street. What do these headlines show? They do little to bring the perpetrator to light. His or her brutality, their demographic, not discussed. Instead, the onus is placed on the victim, on the child, and the offense and the ordeal that they have been through. This is a general attitude. This is not just the media. The media is giving what the people are ready for, what the people want to hear. So yes, this reflects the general attitude on the subject. This apathy has led to initiatives such as Balaknama, which I thought was phenomenal, where working and street children have created this own space to represent their voice, and they have managed to shift the focus from the child as a victim to the act as an offense. How wonderful is that? Ooh, raindrops. So, to end on this note, think about these three: freedom from stigma, freedom from ignorance, and freedom from victim blaming. Today, on Independence Day, I pledge to speak up for the rights of children, speak with other people in my community about protecting children, listen to children and believe them if they talk to me about abuse, encourage children to be assertive and strong, work to change any culture that encourages or makes possible the sexual abuse and exploitation of children. I pledge my eyes and my voice to protect our children. Will you? Thank you.